Ah, greetings, B-movie aficionados.
Now he's looking at
Blockbuster, happy Halloween. Yeah, we carry porn.
All right, so hello, welcome to Couple of Flicks. I'm Tristan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Zach.
Cool. So, what have you guys seen anything the last couple weeks?
Yeah.
I saw Parasite.
Nice.
Last week. Yeah,
How was
it
that?
was awesome. It was really good. I loved it.
Nice. That one looked pretty good.
Yeah, I really want to see that one. So,
Probably the best thing I saw was El Camino.
I haven't watched it yet.
Still haven't seen it yet.
No? All right. Won't get into it then.
Yeah.
Cool. I watched a couple Nicolas Cage movies. So I watched 8mm, which I've seen both of these I've seen before, by the way. So I rewatched 8mm, which the main reason I rewatched it was because it also had Joaquin Phoenix in it, and I was like, oh, I guess I was in a Joaquin Phoenix mood, after seeing the Joker, so I watched 8mm, and I mean that movie's not really all that good, but whatever. I mean, it's a Nicolas Cage movie, so I don't know. Have either of you seen that one? Or...
No, I haven't.
I haven't.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I've seen it multiple times, and a lot of people I know like it, but I've just never, for some reason, it's just never. Part of the reason what annoys me about it is that, like, throughout the whole movie, he's like this private investigator who's like trying to solve this murder, or if it even was a murder, and like throughout the whole this investigation, like he keeps like talking to his wife and like, to me, like, all the stuff that was going on with him and his wife and his marital issues were just not interesting. And like, I thought the actual like crime stuff, like the stuff that he was investigating, that was the interesting part of the movie, and it just kept on getting interrupted. So I don't know. I think they were trying to create suspense, but it's the kind of movie that it's just hard for me to get into because of that. And then the other movie I rewatched was the Martin Scorsese movie, Bringing Out the Dead, which also has Nicolas Cage in it, which is a very, very strange movie.
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
Yeah, me neither.
It came out, I think, like early 2000s, and it's an interesting movie. It's kind of like a psychological study of this. He's a ENT driver. Like he's basically like, after the bodies like are dead, he like brings the bodies out, and it's about him basically kind of like, I don't know. It's an interesting movie. He's kind of goes crazy in it, but like it's very well done. It's not really the kind of movie I'd recommend to a lot of people because it's pretty odd, but it's a good Nicolas Cage movie though. So
Nick Cage goes crazy in a movie.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, you have to see it. It's a little more complicated than that. Like it's Nicolas Cage in Weatherman mode. If you ever saw that one.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, it's another weird film like that kind of.
Okay.
Scorsese, so I'm sure it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely like well directed. So.
And I did see Joker too.
Yeah, what'd you think of that one?
It was good. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Quite good.
Yeah. All right, so the three films we chose. So which of us should go first?
Doesn't matter to me.
All right. Do you want to do yours first, Zach?
Sure.
All right. Cool.
So the theme for this week, I guess we should say, is Halloween. And my pick was Satan's Little Helper. Basically about a kid obsessed with a video game based on Satan, which looked terrible and was playing on like a Palm Pilot or something.
I don't know what the hell that was. It looked like half a cell phone broken in half, like a flip phone broken in half.
It looked like a very, very complicated game. Like,
yeah,
I don't understand why it looked so complicated. Like, for like an old school graphics, but whatever.
And
anyway.
He also played it on his computer too.
Yeah.
It wasn't just him that was playing it either.
No. Yeah, where was I?
Oh, he's obsessed with the video game character Satan.
Oh, yeah, so he thinks he finds Satan, and it's a serial killer dressed up as something. I don't know what it was, but so he goes along with this guy and along with his kills.
Yeah.
That's the basic plot of it.
Well, what were your thoughts on it?
I don't know. It was okay.
Yeah.
But what really bugged me was it was shot like a made for TV movie.
Yeah.
I did not like that.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like an episode of Goosebumps gone bad. Like
yeah.
It just it definitely had that cheap feel to it. Like, which I actually didn't mind it that much. Like, I mean, at first it was kind of like, oh, okay, it's going to be this kind of movie. All right. And then I sort of just got into it a little bit. And I've seen a couple of the director's other movies. And I saw, Blue Sunshine and Just Before Dawn. I've seen both of those. And the problem I have, before we talk too much about the movie, I just want to say the problem that I have with this movie is the same problem that I have with those two movies. The Lieberman, the guy who directed it, he doesn't know how to end a movie. To me, like the worst part about this movie was the ending, and it's the same way I feel about his other two movies. Is those three films end very weak, in my opinion. So, anyway. Continue.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I thought it was going to end a couple times, but oh well.
Yeah. It probably would have been a better movie if it had ended earlier rather than on a cliffhanger. Like,
yeah. Did he expect to make sequels?
I mean,
or is that just the slasher trope there?
I guess that's well. I mean, in a way, I kind of like the way they were playing around a little bit, like with the theme of the movie, like whether this kid is evil or whether he's good or whatever. Like they were kind of playing with that a little bit throughout. And so I liked the fact that like the whole like angel and the devil, or not, but Jesus and the devil, like somehow factored into the ending. You know?
Yeah, that was funny.
But to me, it still ended prematurely. Like. I don't know. It should have ended earlier than it did, you know.
Yeah. I thought the whole beginning of the movie was weird because the kid had the hots for his sister.
Yeah.
That was just okay.
It made me laugh. I mean, that kid seemed familiar to me, and I thought that I'd seen him in another movie talking about Jesus and Satan, and I looked him up, and he was in one other movie that year, which is this movie Palindromes by this director Todd Solondz, who makes really dark films, but dark comedies. But he was in that, and in that he plays like a kid with cystic fibrosis. And yeah, like he's just as strange in that movie as he is in this one. So
yeah, it was a strange one.
Yeah,
I didn't like the kid.
No.
It was an interesting performance, I thought. It was sort of like a delayed kind of thing. I don't know. It was interesting. So
yeah.
But yeah.
One of my favorite parts with him was when he did the karate.
Oh, yeah.
And then Satan's just like
thumbs up.
There were a lot of parts in it that made me laugh. Like in the first, like and like it's weird because like the first 2/3 of this movie are actually like kind of a comedy, you know,
Yeah.
and then the last
Yeah.
act it gets like really really serious and it turns into like a horror movie, like a Halloween type of. Which, by the way, I thought that this was better than Halloween 6 personally, and that movie had the same kind of weird, cheap, like Goosebumps quality, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
like, I thought that this was a better movie than that. So,
Yeah, that was another movie I watched. But
oh yeah,
we could go on about that, but
yeah. There's a lot to say about that one, but I don't know. Maybe we should wait till you've seen it first.
Yeah, I
So,
haven't seen it, so.
yeah.
yeah.
Anyway,
I was trying to see what else I got. Oh, when he fucking killed the cat.
Oh my god, that was.
that was the one part I didn't like. Was
Yeah. Jesus.
I mean, I don't really like when animals get killed, but like if it has to do with the plot, then like I'm fine with it. But like that didn't really have to do with the plot at all.
No, I wasn't expecting that.
No, not at all.
Yeah, that was a little over the top. But I mean, whatever. I mean, the whole thing was kind of ridiculous anyway. You know, 'cause this guy was like basically like butchering people in like just out in the open. And actually, I did kind of like that one character, the boyfriend of his sister, who the kid was jealous of and like wanted to kill or whatever. I kind of liked his character because like all the stuff that happens in this movie is totally like not his fault at all. Like he's this kid who like gets mistreated by his dad and he's dating this kid's older sister, and so the main character, the main kid, like hates this older kid for it. And I don't know, it's interesting because the killer, like, I don't know, should we get into spoiler territory? Because
Yeah.
all right, so
I
like
think
he
about
chooses not to kill him in the alleyway there.
that. Yeah.
What was that all about? Like
I don't know.
idea.
like
No
he
reason.
kills literally everybody else almost except for like a couple other characters.
At first, I thought he did get killed. I'm like, really? That's how he got killed? But he
I
didn't.
didn't think he died then.
Yeah.
Didn't see him die, so I just figured, he's coming back.
Yeah, and then he did. He actually ended up sort of becoming an important character until he didn't. Like the film like couldn't, I guess the main character is the little kid, but the kid ends up doing like the least amount of stuff in this movie. Like he spends half the film in his bedroom crying, and then like I don't know. It's just like anyway. Do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, like, so when they killed the dad, right? That was a crazy scene.
Yeah.
Gutting was so, like, it looked like just a tube of, I don't know, just a plastic tube covered in like red paint.
Yeah.
And then with the mom told the kid to run, but they just stood there and screamed.
Yeah.
Like they didn't
Yeah.
run either. I was like, why don't you just all run instead of
Yeah.
run? And then the mom and the sister just stood there screaming.
Yeah. And why did everybody suddenly decide to split up and like at the end of the movie? Like they did it twice. Why did they all just start splitting up again and again and again? Like what were they hoping to accomplish? There's only one guy that they're worrying about. So why are they splitting up? Like
I don't know. So many questions.
I mean, the character decisions certainly didn't make any sense. I mean,
And I liked when they got to like the party, and he just whips out a big ass bottle of Drano out of his fucking coat. How are you holding that in your pockets? What the fuck?
that made me laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, so much of it was so hard to take seriously anyway. Like,
Yeah.
it almost felt like a movie. It almost felt like a made-for-TV Lifetime movie made by people who are like Christian propaganda artists who want to turn people away from Halloween or something like that. It almost felt like it was made by, or maybe it was like a satire of that. I don't know. Like it was kind of a playful movie. Like
Yeah.
definitely self-aware, like at least at times. You know, not so much at other times. It was a little bit. I don't know. The editing was pretty poor, I must admit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see Amanda Plummer, like, who's actually like been in like films that are well known. Like that's kind of like the big name actress in this, you know, with her cigarette voice that we all know and love. I mean,
Yeah. And then, how do you think about all the reveals?
oh, the mask reveals,
All of them.
they were all confusing.
They're all dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. But I like that the film like had more than one in it. Like,
I didn't. I mean,
I like that it had the guts to try it. You
because
know.
I knew the second one was the boyfriend.
Oh yeah, that was predictable. You know.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the first one was kind of predictable too.
Yeah.
To be honest,
They
like
both have this.
you know,
saw
no
'em both
surprises there.
coming.
Like we already know we're not going to see the killer's face. Like, you know, because we already saw it on the television, and it's like, oh, yeah, we'll just let our imaginations fill in the blanks. Apparently, I don't know. I mean, whatever.
And then,
Yeah.
like, at the very end, I know the kid came back with a cop,
Mm.
and he was ringing the doorbell to let himself into his own house, I noticed. Which
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a few minutes ago, he ran out the same door. Don't think he locked it. Didn't look like he did, and he was ringing the doorbell to come inside. And then it kind of showed that officer had a mask on as well. And the mom and sister welcomed him right in.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And like the girlfriend like couldn't even tell. Like for me, the best parts of the movie were like the first half when it was this killer going around doing all this stupid stuff, like running people over with grocery carts and like, whatever he was doing, like with the kid inside of the cart giggling like he's like at a carnival or something.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, one of those kinds of, and like the parts where he's at the house and he's like flirting with the sister, which is, and of course she can't tell that it's not her boyfriend for some reason, like, which I don't know, like it seemed to me like their body types were very different. I mean, this guy was large and imposing, and her boyfriend was kind of lanky, you know.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny to me, you know. And I thought it was kind of funny how the mom was actually like sort of going along with it and pushing it. Like, I was like, okay, all right. So it's, I mean, yeah, whatever. I mean, it was pretty weird, but it was so hard to take seriously. I mean, I laughed, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I mainly laughed because it was just funny to think about it being like a Goosebumps episode that decides to just go a different route. Like, that's what I was thinking the whole time, pretty much. So,
That's
Yeah.
basically what it is.
yeah. So on that level, I enjoyed it. I'd give it a 2 out of 5, I think, for that. So
I would have to agree. 2 out of 5.
Yeah. Same here too. I'll give it a 2. Yeah.
yeah, it's bad, but it's not that bad. Like, it's still pretty enjoyable and entertaining, you know.
Yeah.
And like, you know, even if you don't really like cheap movies like that, like, it doesn't really take itself that seriously. So it's, I don't know, it's enjoyable enough.
Yeah.
That's about how I feel about the director's other 2 movies, you know. I think I like his other 2 films I saw like just a little bit more, but like, I don't know. I think it's because they're older and people kind of took more chances back then when they were making horror movies. So whereas this just, I don't know, this was a little more contemporary because it involved like a video game, and it just kind of didn't. It felt a little displaced for me, like.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right. Next one.
Yeah. Let's see. I guess I'll do. I guess we could talk about Murder Party.
Okay.
So, let's see. This plot involves this gentleman, and I do mean gentleman because he's kind enough to bake he's kind enough to bake bread for strangers. You know, he's pretty normal guy, wouldn't you say? You know, just kind of a
Normal-ish.
yeah, kind of a simple type of gentleman, sort of, mid-30s, early 40s. Living by himself with his cat, which to me sounds like the life, honestly. I mean, just a kind of simple guy, and he comes upon a mysterious invitation to a murder party, which, he doesn't really take at face value. Yeah, I mean, who would? Who would get invited to a murder party? So he's kind of like, oh, sure. And then he actually, makes a homemade. I mean, he has the time to do this, which is incredible, because it means he's had the time to kind of explore himself artistically. He makes himself a Halloween costume. I mean, right off the bat, I love this guy. I love this character. Like, this is my kind of main character. So, and he goes to the party.
The thing what I stuck out to me immediately about his character is that he was kind of weak. Because the reason why he was going out to the party, because he initially bought horror movies just to watch and have a night alone.
Yeah.
But the cat just took his seat, wouldn't move. So that was his reasoning for going out to the murder party, because his cat. Because he even says, "Okay, whatever." I forget what the cat's name is. You made me do this when he was leaving.
Yeah, which. I mean, I like the fact that he treats his cat like he's a roommate or like, an actual person. I mean, that's kind of cool,
Yeah.
But whatever. Anyway, so he goes to this party in this kind of shady location, and he comes.
Yeah, I loved him just running down the streets once he got to this.
Oh yeah,
creepy warehouses and shit. He just started running down the middle of the road.
Yeah, this movie. I mean, it begins with a montage of him walking. Like, if you want to see a walking montage, this is your movie.
The first 10 minutes just dragged on.
Yeah, it's great, And he gets to this party and in a shady location, and the party is filled with shady characters, and it turns out that that their plans are, not so pure.
Yep.
So, yeah, what were your thoughts?
I liked it. It was pretty good, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a tad slow until after the sedative scene, and then it was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, it picked up in a big way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this movie is epic. I mean, yeah, I really, really like this one a lot. So.
Yeah, I like the characters in it too. It was really well character made, but there was not much plot, but the characters were interesting.
It's pretty character based, and it all pretty much takes place in one location too, which I tend to like movies like that take place in one location. A lot of those are, I don't know, there's something about them that's really enjoyable and interesting. And for a film that's actually scary, like, being in one place can be really, really scary. Like, The Thing is a good example of that, and yeah, the majority of this movie takes place in one room. And I mean, it's pretty much a comedy. Like, you guys would agree, right? Like,
yeah.
It's not really a horror movie ultimately. I mean, but as far as being a Halloween type of movie, I mean, you do have quite a bit that happens in the final act of the movie, which is, in my opinion, the best part. Because to me, that's when it gets truly interesting, and that's also the part where it's where you see a lot of things that you ordinarily would associate with Halloween. So and one of the things I really liked was the part where he kind of ran through sort of that little concert area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
Halloween parties and films, I can like a movie just for having one of those in it, because those are always so cool and creative and trippy to see. And this movie had a pretty good one of that in it.
Yeah.
I really dug that part. in particular, like that one moment where, yeah,
Yeah, and I liked how it was shot pretty well too. There was like I just remember like one kind of long shot of them. It was in the beginning, like not they were just shooting the shit, and it was just going like weaving through them, not like a circular shot going around a circle, but like they're all in different parts of the room, and the camera's just kind of weaving through them, talking to each other. It's
yeah.
pretty well shot with that. There was one shot scene that stood out. Forget what they were talking about and shit, because
Was it like during the whole when they were taking the whatever, like they were like having the dialogue about like their secrets and stuff?
no, it was before that one.
Okay. The costumes were pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the costumes a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, and all the characters. So what did you guys think of like the individual character? Like, do you have any thoughts on any specific characters?
I liked them all, really. They were all interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were all pretty evil,
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of, yeah. I mean, it was all pretty cool though. Like, and like, I don't know. It did kind of make me wonder though. Like, if I like when I was watching it, it made me wonder like what would have happened if like more than one person decided to show up at that party. If it were just if that guy actually like was with a group of people and they decided to go to that party, what would have happened? Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been interesting to see.
Yeah.
People start showing up in the middle of it.
Yeah. And they have to like do battle or something. I mean, this film does kind of have that type of atmosphere, like, because it's kind of roughly made, like the way it's shot and stuff. I mean, you can tell it was kind of done very fast and sort of maybe not like a tremendous amount of focus was put on it, but like a lot of passion was put into it, and as a result, it kind of made the film feel a lot more like open. It didn't feel like confined and sort of by the numbers and strict like a lot of films do. It kind of didn't really have any specific rules, other than like this is the good guy and these are the bad guys,
Yeah.
So, and naturally, I mean, it's a group of crazy people who are trying to like they want to like murder this guy for some kind of like art project or some kind of photography session or something. And
that one guy was offering like 300 grand or something.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
And so there's some little jabs here and there at the art world throughout, which is kind of funny. I mean, that's always sort of enjoyable when a film can kind of prod certain things, just, and so I like that. That was kind of interesting. And I mean, I don't know, there was a lot of wit. It was just there was a lot of like sharp kind of wit.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
The way the characters talked, it was very much like back and forth type of.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I like the most about it.
Now
character back and forth stuff.
The director of this movie did so he did Blue Ruin, he did Green Room, and he did Hold the Dark. Have you guys seen those?
I've seen Blue Ruin and Green Room. Yeah.
Okay. What'd you think of those?
Like,
I've only seen Green Room, but Blue Ruin's on my watch list.
And that's one thing I could was this his first movie?
Yeah, Murder Party.
Yeah, that's what I could kind of tell, because I could tell it had some of his flair in it, and then like I could just tell he was. I kind of think he was just like experimenting to see how to make a movie with this one, because there wasn't that much plot. Like his other movies have plot to it, and but this one was just kind of guy shows up to a murder party and shit happens, and the way I see it is he was like, because it was filmed really well, and the characters were really well made, so I felt that it was his attempt just to find the ropes of how to make a movie. Generally, that's what I felt with this one.
I would agree. I mean, with this film, he establishes kind of his bleak style, which he has in all of his films.
Yeah.
He has sort of the isolated environment, and the kind of conflicts between like one versus another, like forces and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dark in the same way that his later films would be. Although with those later films, I mean, technically speaking, they were much more refined and focused, and
definitely, and like
they were a lot scarier too.
and it has the same kind of things he does. He likes to like do the what you're not expecting as well a lot in his movies. Like I don't like using the subvert expectations, but he kind of does that with a lot of like, especially with like Green Room. He definitely did that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, both Blue Ruin and Green Room are pretty intense, and like, and there are moments in them that are very visceral, you know. And this film kind of had some moments that were visceral, but not really in the same way as those ones were. Like those, like in Green Room and Blue Ruin, it was more like painful, like, oh, you can feel that type of thing. Like I think of the one scene in one of those movies where the guy's arm gets, you know, sort of ripped open. I mean, like whereas in this movie, it's kind of visceral in like a satisfying way. Like I won't spoil what happens at the very end, but that final kill was just like, you know, like that's the kind of thing that horror movie fans love to see, you know. Like it kind of made like the whole movie sort of like worth it just for that one moment, you know. It was such a kind of, like it was made for fans of that kind of thing, you know.
Yep.
At the end. And his movie Hold the Dark, which I think is on Netflix. I think that's where I watched it. That one is a much more ambitious film, and that one, like, I wouldn't say it's as good as his other films, but I still kind of liked it because there were some things about it that were really interesting to me. Like there was a really amazing shootout sequence in it. And I liked the plot. And it had, like, out of all of his films, it's probably the bleakest.
Is it his newest one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold the Dark. It takes place in this Alaskan sort of kind of communal location. It's a weird movie, but I actually liked it, but a lot of people didn't. So I don't know.
Have to check it out.
Yeah. You know, you might like it. So who knows? Does anybody else have any more thoughts on Murder Party?
I didn't take too many notes in this one because I was so engaged in it.
Yeah, me too.
Same.
I like a few things. The guy that grabbed the acid, quote unquote, it was just vinegar.
Yeah. that was funny.
Nice, like,
yeah.
And then when he first escaped, you know, he got into that closet and looked around. And it even focused on like a fire extinguisher, so you think he's gonna bust out, you know, extinguisher and make a smoke bomb and run, but he just has a handful of shit and drops it on the ground and runs. I just laughed so hard. That was so good.
That was so funny.
Like one thing I would have I could have seen, maybe not, but like I could feel like a Napoleon Dynamite character could have totally worked with him if they went full comedy. Like, because he felt very, like, just the way his body movements were, especially like with that scene and everything, it reminded me of Napoleon Dynamite.
I mean, maybe that's one of the things about him that like makes him so charming, is the fact that he comes across as somebody who's maybe not as socially engaged as everybody else is. So he does kind of seem like a Napoleon Dynamite type of character who is just like that character. You know?
Yeah, when he puts his own pun in.
I laughed.
That was good. Yeah.
That was actually and I hate puns. That actually made me laugh though. So.
I did like that barbiturate scene was awesome. The truth telling scene. That was great.
Yeah.
Or any stops and pisses at the end.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that one
getting
too.
Chased. Slowly backing up.
And also, when the guy's werewolf mask melted to his face or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that looks really cool.
Yeah, that was good. Looked like a real werewolf.
Yeah. I laughed. It made me think of Halloween 3, which that's one of my favorite bad movies. Yeah, I don't know. Murder Party it's a good time, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd give it 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I'd give it a 3 out of 5 for sure.
I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah,
It was
I
good.
could
It
see
was
why.
really good, yeah.
yeah. All right, excellent. So now you guys want to talk about Stan Helsing?
Okay. I guess. I mean, this one was the one I chose, right?
Yeah.
But
I-
it also, I think,
I didn't know anything about it when I watched it, so
me neither. I had no
I didn't
idea.
either.
Looked it up, and it's the first thing that caught my eye, and it's also like the least to talk about of the three, I feel, as well, because it was just straight up comedy, really, and like I could see this being a scary movie. I don't know, not necessarily reboot, but like a spin-off. It's like in the same vein of scary movies.
I think it was because on Amazon Prime where I watched it, it said scary movie right above Stan Helsing.
Oh, really?
Huh.
Yeah, and like the opening title credit, it said like Stan Helsing, a parody. So it's like, okay, you just pull it right
Yeah.
off. Thanks. But the only real thing I liked about the movie was like the first 20 minutes or so, maybe. It was hilarious. Just like that first scene, first few scenes, I was laughing hard because I like the actor of Stan Helsing. He's in Shameless, and I watched that a shit ton, and he's my favorite character in that.
Yeah.
He's just great.
Yeah,
Funny.
he's a good character on that.
Yeah. Like the opening thing where he picks up the phone and they're just like, we have pornos, and the names were like, one of them was Schindler's Fist, and what is it? Great, he ate her or something like that. Instead of like Gladiator, Great, he ate her. Like, oh god.
Oh.
And then you're just like, okay, thanks. And he just hangs up. We're like, oh yeah, thanks, Grandma. Or you're welcome, Grandma. So he's on the phone with his grandma talking about this.
Yeah, so like, and that ended up being a joke that they made later on in the movie too. It's like this joke about elderly people watching porn, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see. I mean, I'll say right off the bat that like parody movies are really not my favorite kind of movie. I don't generally like most parody movies. There are some that I do like, but the only kind I like really are the kind that can actually like do something kind of intelligent with their parody. So like, for example, like Mel Brooks's films, like I like Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. I don't really like Spaceballs. I don't really like Robin Hood Men in Tights, but I liked Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. I'm not a fan of Airplane. I mean, I don't know. For some reason, most parody movies, they just don't click with me. And this is another one that didn't. I mean, but I will be constructive with this. I'll start with the positives. You can tell that the people who made this movie do have a love of the horror genre for sure. I mean, because they include, so like instead of including what would have been included maybe like 50 or 60 years ago, like Frankenstein, Dracula, and all that stuff, they actually go with some 80s slasher icons. I mean, obviously not literally the same ones. They change them and make them like spoofs of those characters, but you can tell who the characters are. Like you can tell, oh, this is supposed to be Pinhead. Oh, this is supposed to be Freddy. So, so I could certainly tell that the people who made it like had that kind of thing going for them, but I was ready for this to be over within 5 minutes.
Yeah, me too.
I mean,
Yeah.
Once they got to this, once they were just starting delivering and got into the closed housing place, it was like, I'm done.
yeah, I mean,
Like, I like the first bits, like when they were driving there was like just some funny back and forth and stuff. Like, And one quote that I loved at the first, it was in the first scene again, and he was like, his boss was telling him to go clean up the bathroom, and he was just like, you know what I always say? There's always someone better to do it. I just love that. I'm gonna use that. Like if someone tells like my boss, like no, someone better will do it.
Yeah, I mean,
and I also was confused like about the world this took place in, because he went into that bathroom, and one of the stalls he was trying to clean. There was just a giant cockroach.
yeah,
I just like shot shit all over him.
yeah,
And it was like nothing. It was like there's a cockroach.
Yeah.
And
I mean, this
like,
movie,
what the fuck?
it opens with a shitting cockroach, you know. I mean, and that tells you everything. And you know, I mean, I'm not like fart jokes. Those are the oldest joke in the book. I mean, they are older than old. Like cavemen probably made fart jokes, you know.
Classics though.
It's a classic joke. A fart joke is the kind of joke that literally anybody can laugh at, and it's for the simple reason that it's funny. You know, if one of us stood up and farted into the microphone right now, it would be funny because we wouldn't expect it. You know, so and this movie, like they don't waste any time with the fart jokes. I mean, let me tell you,
No.
This movie begins with fart jokes, and the fart jokes keep coming. I mean, throughout.
I like fart jokes. I'll be honest, but
I like
don't have
them-
too many. Like if they're done well.
I like them when they're funny. Like
Yeah.
the Nutty Professor has. I mean, the movie is almost literally a fart joke, you know.
Yeah.
But there's some funny. But this movie, I mean, if you think it's funny, like when somebody's like farting on a toilet and like the sounds are happening, and you know you're watching somebody getting grossed out. I mean, we've seen that in like Big Mama's House. We've seen that so many movies. You know, it's the same joke we've seen, you know, so many times.
Yeah.
A lot of these jokes felt like the same joke. They felt like jokes I've heard before. You know, like so many jokes. You know, like double meaning jokes where somebody says something and then somebody like sometimes the characters get it before we do. Like there was a joke at the end. I can't remember which one. Something about like bending over or something that like the character said the joke or said they responded to it in some way, and it's like, oh, that's what you meant, and I'm like, wait, what? Oh, that's stupid. Like it's like the kind of film that basically relies on the viewer to be the type of viewer who immediately thinks immediately thinks of everything as being a that's what she said joke or something
Yeah.
like that, like that gets that out of like pretty much everything that every single person in their life says. This movie is made for that person, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
and one of the things I also wasn't a fan of was just like the raunchy comedy stuff either. Like I don't mind the fart jokes, but like all the sexual innuendo jokes, like
some of them were
it's
really
just-
gross.
Yeah, they're just gross.
And then the random stripper scene.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They said, "Oh, let's go into a fantasy."
Yeah.
They started their own fantasy.
Yeah, I mean the female characters in this movie, I mean they are the butt of like so many jokes, like constantly, like nonstop. I feel like the people who made this movie have like severe tone deafness when it comes to like the way like how to depict anybody who like you know has boobs pretty much. I mean,
I feel they were doing that on purpose because of it being a horror parody.
yeah.
But yeah. But the one thing with the female one, the dumbass one, I loved her. I didn't love her. No, I hated her. But I liked how she kept switching costumes throughout the movie.
That was funny.
That was funny.
I like
But I wish
that,
they did
yeah.
it more. Like, or just keep switching. They didn't do it enough to make it like an awesome bit. But like,
Yeah.
they did it like just under the amount. Like, should have done it a couple more times and it would have been funny.
Yeah. I mean, and also like, I mean, I don't know. Like to me, it just none of them even really felt like characters. They all just kind of felt like walking punchlines, you know. Like Kenan Thompson, like what did he even do in this movie? Like I don't even think he did anything. I mean,
don't think he did either, but he was my
like,
favorite.
yeah, I mean, he was probably my favorite too, just because like he's such a familiar face.
I
And
think
it's,
I think he did the best, and for the most part, like
I feel like he did the best because he did the least, though. Like
Yeah.
because it was almost like because a lot of the jokes you tended to mainly revolve around like the two female characters, like a lot of the visual sight gags and stuff. And then the main character, Stan Helsing, was like kind of the thorough line, like between the situations and the humor. And then Keenan was just kind of there to comment on everything and give, which in a way I kind of liked, because it was almost like he was the voice of the viewer, you know, and in a way it felt nice to have like a voice of sanity. But
yeah, and I feel like he had he brought some of his SNL chops to it as well.
Yeah.
I think he did some improv.
I think so.
Because
Yeah.
like there was one funny, like one of my favorite lines in it was of him when they were driving. There was one of the first scenes when they were in the car, and Stan sparked up a joint, and he was like, no, this is my mom's van. It smells good though.
Yeah, I mean, I laughed. You know, I laughed at that. I laughed at I gotta admit, like, I laughed at the reoccurring joke about grandmothers renting porn.
Yeah.
Only because, and I didn't even laugh at it because it was funny. I laughed at it more because it was just peculiar. Like, I laughed at some of the more peculiar things that were going on.
Oh yeah, I
know?
laughed at. So it was after the doll mooned Stan Helsing. Stan got like a call from the doll saying, "How'd you like my ass?" And then Stan was just like, "Dad."
Oh jeez. Which, like, they always gotta have those kinds of jokes.
Oh, no.
Like another one of those like Rob Schneider comedies or something. It's like we're working on that level at that moment.
Yep.
Yeah. By the way, I totally missed Leslie Nielsen. Like,
Oh,
I totally missed him.
that was the first thing I noticed.
Yeah.
He was like, the waitress was like, "Oh shit, there he is."
Yeah, when I
knew
looked up,
he was in it. I knew he was in it before watching it. I was
yeah, I knew he was too, and I was looking for him, and then I missed him. Like,
That's
and
hilarious.
it wasn't until after I watched the movie I looked it up, and I was like, "Where was? Oh wait, he played the wait. Oh, okay, haha, that's funny." You know, like I laughed when I found that out. You know, so like I mean. I'm not going to say this movie didn't get laughs out of me. I mean, that one happened after I'd already seen the movie, but I mean, still, you know, like once I realized it was Leslie Nielsen, it made all that stuff so much more funnier. Like, which is so funny to think about, you know.
And then, like, the first karaoke scene I loved too.
Oh yeah.
And they're singing Ring of Fire, and fucking I just loved watching Keenan's face on it. He was like, you know, they do those kind of bits in SNL all the time, so you know how he just had a funny ass face, like, oh
Yeah.
shit. And I was just laughing at his facial expression during the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, I always try to like sort of think of each movie as like as its own sort of thing, and to me this kind of it reminded me of another one of those like all those like parody movies that used to come out all the time. Like, what was that one that was like, it was like an epic movie that like was about
Epic
like
movie?
had like some kind of
Yeah.
it had some movie in it that I didn't even think was like, why would you even spoof that? I don't even remember what it was. And like, I don't know, there were like so many of those that came out, and I didn't really see most of them. I think I watched maybe one or two of them, and then just was like, yeah, there we go, that's enough for me, you know?
I don't like spoof movies or parody movies at all.
Yeah. Sometimes, like once in a while, like I thought, like, I mean, I liked Black Dynamite.
Oh, that was great.
That one was
I mean, yeah,
intelligently
there are
done.
There are good ones like that, yeah.
Yeah, like that
I
one.
think the first Scary Movie for 1 and 2 were both pretty good. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I remember liking the first one, but I haven't watched it since, and I mean,
It doesn't age well.
yeah,
I
I kind of,
haven't watched it in all.
yeah,
It doesn't age well.
I kind of figured it didn't. That's why I haven't watched it. Like I don't know. I think I'd rather just kind of leave my memories of it alone, because I remember, like, didn't it spoof like The Matrix and like other things that weren't really horror movies? Like,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I just have a feeling like I'll watch it now and it'll just be really annoying to me, you know. So, but
So, yeah, I can't really think of any spoof movies that come to mind that I like, really.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, they're not. I mean, that's the thing. Most of them aren't really that good. And like when they make them, they're not really paying attention to like the quality of
Yeah,
the film
it
itself
doesn't
either.
seem like they try that hard at all in them.
Yeah, like you could tell they're kind of cheaply made. Like the people who made it obviously know how to how to light a scene and know how to like, shoot a scene, and then that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like with this one, I could tell they're like, oh yeah, we got the first 20 pages of the script done.
Yeah,
Let's start.
Yeah.
and the acting.
It's like they have an outline, like insert joke here.
Yeah, and like the actors the direction is always just like, oh, exaggerate everything, and so then the actors do. And one spoof movie I did like was Wet Hot American Summer.
Yeah.
Oh, that counts as a spoof movie.
I mean, I'd say it does, just because it is a spoof of summer camp movies. Like
I didn't
ultimately.
even know summer camp movies were a thing.
Oh,
I mean, I know like as a horror,
yeah.
but like
It was also kind of a spoof of some aspects of those too.
I didn't really notice it much.
Sex
horror.
comedies.
Yeah, just kind of sex comedies in general. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a loose spoof.
Okay.
But it was, I mean, technically a spoof. I mean, it kind of had its own sort of thing going on, but it definitely was taking references to like other things, like the whole idea of Skylab and
I know it took references. I just didn't see it as a spoof.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically that doesn't. I mean, it's close. It's like one of those. It's like close enough for me, I guess. But then I don't know. If I do that, it would also mean I'd have to do like I'd also kind of technically have to consider Rocky Horror Picture Show a spoof, which I don't really. So yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe you're right. Oh well. I'm sure there's some good spoof movies that I'm not thinking of that are actually like well done. But I don't know. Like some of the best comedies I can think of are satires, and those tend to be the kind of comedies I prefer anyway.
Yeah.
So. Anyway. So Stan Helsing.
Stan Helsing.
Any more thoughts on it?
Not really.
Nope.
Yeah. All right. Do we give it a 1 out of 10?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Or 1 out of 5? I mean.
1 out of 5. Yeah. No.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Got a few laughs out of it, but
Yeah. Same.
I did. I mean, yeah, the first 20 minutes before they got to the place, it was pretty funny. Then it just was, couldn't wait for it to end.
Yeah.
yeah, that scene made me think, oh, this might be good.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Definitely got worse from there. So, all right. So, what 3 movies do you guys want to watch next? Well, okay, so first of all, the theme that we should go with, we decided on like weird 80s movies, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So do you want to say what yours is first, Zach, or do you want me to say what mine is? Or...
I can go first since I already kind of said it in the first episode.
Yeah, go for it.
Mac and Me. If you've seen any Paul Rudd on Conan, you've seen a scene from it.
I've always wanted to see it.
Yeah, me too. I've never seen Mac and Me, so
it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm ready to check it out.
I think I still have it on VHS at my mom's house.
So you've seen it before?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Not in a very long time, but.
All right, cool. Can't wait. All right. Well, let's see. My pick. Do you want me to go next?
Yeah.
Okay. So my pick is this movie called Miracle Mile. Have either of you seen that one?
No.
Have either of you heard of it?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I will say that I believe that it inspired Grand Theft Auto, and I will say no more.
Ooh.
All right.
Ah, okay. I'm just seeing if I could find. I don't know if this one would be a good one or not. Let's see. Because I can't tell if we can view it anywhere. But Basket Case.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Have either you heard of it?
Heard of it? Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time though. I wanna watch that one again. So yeah, I'm totally on board for Basket Case. So.
Okay. Yeah, it is on stuff. So, all right, that's good then.
Cool.
Yeah, I was seeing if mine was. I think mine's on YouTube.
I actually think I own it, so I'll. I think I own it on DVD, so I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure that was one I bought when I was. I mean, I know that I bought it at one point when I was living in Kansas, but I might have sold it since then, so I'll double check. But, yeah, that the guy who directed that was Frank Henenlotter. So, and he's the same guy who did the movie Brain Damage. So,
Right, I've heard of that one.
yeah, that's a good one. He also did Frankenhooker.
I have that, but haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, that movie, like some people don't really like that one, but some people do. I mean, it's one of those cult classics that doesn't please everybody. You know, kind of like Christmas Evil. You know.
From the scenes that I've seen, I think I'll like it.
Yeah, excellent. All right, cool. All right, so Miracle Mile, Mac and Me, and Basket Case.
Yep.
All right, sounds good. Cool. Well,
Yeah.
all right, until next time, chill.
Yeah.